Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, in this video today, we are going to be talking about inexpensive finishes that are gonna last forever, okay? These are those things that you wanna put in your home that are inexpensive. They're not super pricey, but they're like indestructible. These are things that are gonna last you a really long time. Quality materials that will last. Now, I don't necessarily love everything in here for aesthetic reasons or other reasons or whatever, and you might not either, and that's okay. They're worth considering because they are super durable and they're gonna last you a long time and they're not gonna wear out, because I'm gonna do a video next week about expensive things that do wear out quickly, but let's talk about some of those affordable pieces that are worth considering because they will last you a long time. Yes, I will also point out the obvious if you're not new here, that I'm not filming from my own home right now. I'm currently traveling in Europe for the next few weeks, so the next few weeks I'm gonna be filming from this location, which is an undisclosed location because it's none of your business, but I did leave an Easter egg on exactly what city in Europe I'm in, so feel free to comment below. If you found somewhere in my background, I give it away, so let's get going. Okay, first on my list is gonna be sealed concrete. Now, I have mentioned in a previous video that I would personally not do sealed concrete in my own home, and that's just because it's just not my style, it's not my vibe, and personally I find it to be really cold, but a lot of people love it, and it really does make sense for a lot of spaces, specifically industrial spaces, or oftentimes kind of areas of the home like unfinished areas, garages for example, sometimes even basement applications, where this might make sense for people. So a lot of times people look to things like hardwood, or they'll look to carpet for some of these spaces, or even tile, depending on, what room we're talking about. But sealed concrete, you can lightly tint it if you want to make it sort of whatever color you want. It always kind of just works out on various sort of versions of gray, but feel free to make it your own. But once you seal these and you put them in, they will last you forever. Arguably, if you put them in your kitchen or your countertops or something like that, you might regret that choice, but that's not really the point of this video. They will last you a really long time. These are very durable. Concrete is, it's concrete. Like, it's gonna last you a really long time, okay? And yes, sometimes the application and the process of getting these installed correctly by an actual person who knows how to do it, not a DIYer on TikTok, yes, it might not be the cheapest thing to necessarily install, but once you do, they last you a really long time. Again, I'm talking about floors here, but countertops, yes, that's an option. I think for most people, I would probably recommend a quartz product that mimics the look of concrete for something like countertop applications. That's just me. But for something like a flooring solution, a garage, maybe a mud room, something like that, this can be a really solid choice for people. And it is relatively inexpensive compared to some other tile options, stone options, and it is going to last you a really long time. Okay, next on my list is gonna be luxury vinyl plank. Now, a lot of people here on the internet either love to talk about luxury vinyl plank, LVP as it's known in the biz, or some people hate it. I am in the camp of, I wouldn't put it in my own home, but I do appreciate the use case for it, and I understand why a lot of people choose it, right? This is kind of the sweet spot of what I'm talking about in this video. It might not be for you, it might not be your first choice, it's not my first choice, but it is a relatively inexpensive flooring option, even though it's got the word luxury in it. Don't be scared away necessarily, but it is also something that is like pretty much indestructible, right? So let's look at the alternatives. I did a flooring video about 400 years ago you might want to check out that I'm gonna link to, but I will say that you've got different options, right? You've got concrete, which I just talked about, and then you've got laminate. Laminate generally, although there's different types, and of course you obviously check with the manufacturer in terms of like whether it is waterproof, or there's different versions of laminate that are out there, but generally speaking, laminate is not going to be waterproof the way that luxury vinyl plank is, and it's generally, although quite cost effective, it's not as durable as LVP, because luxury vinyl plank is like made of vinyl. It's like a vinyl record, but on your floor, kind of. But it's made to sort of mimic wood in that way, right? So it's got all the different grooves and stuff in it. It's not just a printed on sort of fake version of wood. It does mimic a lot of the texture that wood does, but it is ultimately sort of a plastic kind of material. It's vinyl, and so therefore might not be the right choice for a lot of people who are preferring, say, hardwood or engineered hardwood or those solutions. But what LVP does is it mimics the look of hardwood at a pretty aggressive price point while also being basically indestructible, right? Like, these things are very durable, right? You can take a hammer to them practically. I wouldn't recommend it. Don't blame me if you install it and you hammer it and you get a hole. That's not my problem. But these are generally quite indestructible, and therefore for people with kids or pets or whatever, they're a great solution for a lot of people. So I am in the camp of, I wouldn't choose it, but I understand the use case, and it's definitely for some people that are out there. So I don't completely hate on it. Now, if you want something that's going to be more expensive and probably less durable, that's probably something like engineered hardwood. But if you're someone like me that wants the effect of actual real wood, there you go. That's a solution there for you. But if you're really looking for something that is a really good price point for something that is going to last you a really long time, LVP is a great choice. Also, I should note another option, which I don't really talk about often, is carpet. Carpet is also going to be an inexpensive option, but I don't think it's nearly as durable as LVP because you got smells in there, you've got dirt in there, you've got lots of stuff in there that eventually you're going to have to swap out. So LVP is the choice for people that want that sweet spot. Okay, next up, I'm going to put these together because I think they kind of fit in the same category a little bit, and that is going to be brushed nickel and unlacquered brass as two material choices to really look out for. So why do I say these two specifically? I think because a lot of the choices that are out there, like matte black, usually these are going to be painted finishes. Not always, some of them are powder coated, but a lot of matte black is painted. So first, let's talk about the painted finish. What does that mean, right? Basically means that you've got the base material, right? Which could be whatever metal you've got out there, right? For drawer pulls, it might be different than faucets, whatever, but then they paint them all matte black, literally painted on. What that means is that there is the potential over time for the black paint to flake off, which is why I think over the long haul, it's going to be less durable. Other options that you could choose are things like chrome. Chrome is a timeless, gorgeous option as well, but chrome does have a reputation over the long term for having water stains and issues like that are related to chrome plating. I think that the two that are going to be really durable over the long term are sort of the brushed nickel as well as unlacquered brass, or any sort of really brass material. Brass comes in all sorts of different materials as well, but I mentioned unlacquered brass specifically because it actually wears in and creates this gorgeous patina over time, which I think is wonderful. So I would say those two options for metal choices, there's other ones as well that are out there, are going to be more durable over the long term. So if you're choosing your metal and you're a little bit like, I don't really care about what it necessarily looks like, I'm really just more interested in getting something so I don't have to replace this in 10 years. Something like a painted finish might wear off. Some things might be susceptible to water stains, but the likes of brushed nickel and unlacquered brass are just going to wear in, develop a patina, and they're not going to flake off or chip or do anything weird like that. Okay, next up is going to be sort of squared off laminate countertops. So laminate countertops, let's talk about them. I get it. We're all obsessed with stone, and me and my channel probably aren't really helping with that because I love gorgeous stone as much as the next person. And quartz countertops for a lot of people still are very popular because they like the low maintenance sort of feel, but also getting the effect of sort of the natural stone. And so it's a manufactured stone. That's what a quartz slab is. There's also porcelain slabs that are out there. There's different types of natural stone, and all those are wonderful. And everybody wants that stone countertop to really sort of give them that durability, give them the look and feel, right? They like that solid surface. And so I think laminate has sort of gone away a little bit as sort of not considered a really great option for people. And I think that's a shame because laminate can be very durable. It can last a really long time, but it doesn't give you that effect of stone, right? But I don't think you should sleep on it because so many times I think people are looking at doing a renovation or they just want to swap out their countertops, which sounds like an easy thing to do, but swapping out your countertops isn't that easy. But let's say you want to swap out your countertops for a minute, and what you end up doing is go looking at all your different stone options, realizing that they cost you $1 bazillion, and then you're like, okay, what about laminate? And I think people think the laminate is really sort of cheap and not worth it, but actually it is very durable and very inexpensive. And I personally think a much better option than trying to do some of these DIY fake stone options or fake sort of options like putting on, painting your granite, which I've seen on TikTok, or putting on all these sort of stickers or whatever people put, where they like fake marble, or the epoxy kits or whatever that people are doing, trying to fake a look of marble by taking your old 2003 granite and trying to convert it into marble. I think that, if you're sick of your old countertops and you want something new and it's time for a change, consider laminate. I wouldn't do anything crazy funky with the profile. Stick to sort of a square edge and just be happy with go for a fairly neutral, plain color. Go for something in a light, soft gray or something, and I think it'll be a great choice for you. I generally don't like darker countertops. I have my reasons, but they're incredibly dirty and they show all the dirt all the time and they're really frustrating. But I would recommend a laminate in sort of a squared off profile in a nice light color is going to feel really beautiful, and just be proud of your amazing brand new countertops, even if they are not the quartz or Calcutta Viola or Taj Mahal stone that everybody else is choosing for their own renovations. Okay, next up on my list is going to be porcelain or ceramic tile. Sometimes, tile gets a bad reputation, or I think people love the look of sort of these big giant stone slabs, which are very expensive and very difficult to fabricate. But when you're dealing with tile just comes in so many different patterns, so many different shapes, And I recommend, you know, the little small scale, the penny rounds, the subway tiles, they just look amazing. If you're installing a backsplash for that, you know, very, very simple laminate countertop we just talked about, or if you're choosing a stone or whatever you got going, I think that choosing something like a tile, a porcelain or ceramic tile, is a great option. They are durable, they last a long time, and sometimes like a single little subway tile is sometimes like 60 cents, okay? Like they are incredibly affordable and really, really easy to do. You can do lots of cool patterns with them. Sometimes just taking a classic shape like a subway and turning it into, you know, choosing a different way of laying it, a different way of laying the pattern, can be a really effective way to create something really unique and interesting and just feels really cool. Even if you didn't spend a whole lot of money on it. They last a really long time. Ceramic and porcelain just last a whole, they're very, very durable. I wouldn't recommend them for countertops because you've got grout issues and all the rest of it, but in something like a backsplash or in a new bathroom or, you know, in a bottom of a shower or something, I think these are a really, really great solid choice. Don't sleep on ceramic or porcelain tiles, especially those classic tile patterns, the hexagons, the penny rounds, the subways, the stack tiles, the vertical stack, the horizontal stack. So many different cool ones that are out there. Definitely worth considering. Very inexpensive relative to, you know, other things that are out there, and they will last a long time. There's a reason why people take out these bathrooms from 1955 and the tile still looks intact. Okay, next up on my list is gonna be good quality paint. I wanna talk about paint because people forget that paint, I think, is what, well, that and cleaning is some of the easiest way to refresh your space. Do you know what I mean? In my old apartment, it's a shame that I don't have my actual background in my actual home because this would be a really great example to talk about. In my home, I'm not gonna be there for very long, okay? I know, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, his background looks like crap. Why is he talking about interior design? Fair question. I don't know, you clicked on the video, don't ask me. Why is because I don't actually plan on staying there very long, right? I'm knocking down the house the next 6 months or so, but here's what I did do. I cleaned my place and I painted the walls. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, because I plan on not staying there for very long, I didn't want to do the flooring. I didn't want to do, you know, like big renovations, changing my appliances, knocking down walls, whatever, changing out cabinets, changing out countertop. I didn't want to do any of that. But there were two things that I did because they are the most effective ways to upgrade your space with like a $600 budget, and that is a scrub daddy and some soap and paint. Paint is such a great way to refresh your space. You can have fun with color, you can have fun with, well, that's it really, color. But there's lots of really cool ways that you can use color in your space to make it really beautiful and new. You could just go for a basic white if you want, you can go for beige, you can go, you know, all the colors. You have lots of different ways that you can refresh a space, and it is so cost effective, especially it's something that most people, this is definitely in the realm of DIY. You know, I don't know if I necessarily recommend you putting in your own countertops. You might not want to fabricate your own stone, or I don't know, like tile your own fireplace like people seem to do on social media. But I do think you can get a roller from Home Depot and some drop cloths and you can go and actually paint your own home. You know, that's within your skill set. I believe in you. And so that is a really great way to refresh your space. Super cheap. Again, I recommend something, something like an eggshells, maybe a little, not, if you want to go super matte, those are not as durable. But if you go for something in like a satin or something, you're gonna get a lot of bang for your buck out of it. It really refreshes your space. Very cheap to do. One of the cheapest sort of renovation projects you can kind of do in your home, and a good quality paint is going to last you for years. Okay, next on my list is going to be painted out moldings. Painted out moldings is a very cost-effective way that will honestly upgrade your space for a relatively low amount of money. Like it's quite inexpensive. I love moldings. I started out my career here on YouTube talking about moldings. I think in my very first video I talked about moldings, and it's because I love them and they are a great backdrop for your space. If ever you want to think that, you know, your space, you're just like, it just looks really boring. It's because you're not often, I think, layering in the different elements in your design, right? You've got the walls, but then you've got the moldings, and then you've got the fixed element, you've got the furniture pieces, the decor. It's all layered in, and then you've got your throws and your blankets and your candles and things like that, right? You're layering in the design. It's not just one note with furniture. You've got different things sort of layered against each other to create sort of a nuanced design in your space. That's what makes a place really beautiful and stand out. And moldings are great at doing that. They play off the light in the space in interesting ways. They add texture to the walls, but they serve as a nice, beautiful backdrop for the rest of the space. So I love moldings, whether that's going to be, you know, your baseboards, you've got panel moldings or picture frame moldings, whatever you want to call them, applied moldings, they're called lots of different things. But, you know, lots of different moldings that you've got available to you, chair rails, blah, blah, blah. Like there's lots of cool things that are out there, and it's relatively inexpensive to do. You can pop on down to Home Depot, you can grab yourself some moldings, get your little miter saw in there to create your little angles and do all that. And then from there, you just paint them out, right? So if you're going to paint, like the previous example, you paint them out out, and this is something relatively inexpensive that is going to last a really long time because, you know, it's just painted out moldings. Like there's nothing really there that's gonna go particularly wrong, right? So long as you're careful with your furniture and you don't knock them up against those moldings, you're probably gonna be fine. And it just creates a beautiful backdrop for the rest of your space. Inexpensive to do, relatively DIY friendly, and also will last you a lifetime. Again, there's a reason why these gorgeous moldings still look great decades or even hundreds of years later. Okay, that's it for me for today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Let me know where you think I am in Europe. And I'm gonna be here for the next few videos, so look forward to that. Get used to this a little bit before I head on back. And I'll see you on the next video. So check out this video right here. I don't know where I'm pointing. I still have been on YouTube for 5 years. I don't know where I point in order for people to figure out where I am. But on the screen, I have no idea. But I'll see you on the next video. So thanks a lot. Bye.